For the Town of Abingdon's Historic Preservation Review Board regular meeting, I'm Betsy White, the chair. This is a citizen board appointed by the Town Council to interpret and uphold Abingdon's Historic Preservation Ordinance, which is Chapter 44, Section 2-4 of Abingdon's zoning ordinance that protects the historic district of Abingdon, which has been designated the Old and Historic District, along with all its contributing resources, including buildings, structures, and sites, from negative encroachment and resulting from inappropriate construction, design, alterations, or demolitions. Our review process is guided by our design review guidelines, which are based on the United States Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation. Our aim on this board is to provide a positive bridge between the design review process and property owners seeking to make changes, working together through the natural partnership that exists between us for mutual good. The result will be to ensure Abingdon's Historic District continues as a valuable asset and one that makes Abingdon a good place to live, to work, and to visit. We appreciate your interest and we encourage public participation in our meeting. Your comments are important to our decision-making process. Anyone who addresses the board will please approach the podium, identify your first and last name, and give your complete mailing address. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Anderson? Mrs. Hartshorn? Mrs. White?
Here.
And Mrs. Bunn?
Here.
So we have quorum. Approval of minutes.
We will be doing those next meeting because Ms. Bunn was not here for those, so we would not have enough members to vote on those.
Oh, all right. So we would only have 2 people voting, which is not a quorum. So we'll wait till next time.
Yes.
All right. Shall we proceed then? Our first application is Tim Hoke of Wahlberg Construction. A certificate of appropriateness to construct a privacy fence located at 130 South Wall Street, Abingdon.
Yes, so Regent Street Properties LLC owner and Tim Hoke of Wahlberg Construction applicant has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to construct a wooden 80-foot long by 6-foot tall painted black privacy fence along the property's south-facing property line. The property is located on 130 South Wall Street. The property is within the Old and Historic Zoning District, Sub-District 3. Some background, the former mercantile building has been under construction for approximately 2 years and is nearing completion. Currently, there is no fencing or garbage receptacles at the site. Staff findings, the applicant proposed to construct a wooden 80-foot long by 6-foot tall painted black privacy fence along the property's south-facing property line. Fencing would approximately begin at the property's southeast corner and extend west, terminating at the southeast corner of the original 1885 brick building. Metal post base anchors will be used to secure 4-inch by 4-inch by 6-foot wooden posts. And so here you can see a rendering of, outlined in the blue, that's where the fencing would go. So this is kind of the corner of the lot, parking lot, and come all the way down, and this is the original structure. Within the submittal materials, 2 different fence designs were submitted. The primary difference is the orientation of the wooden fence boards. One design shows wooden fencing boards oriented horizontally, whereas the other shows the wooden boards oriented vertically. The design showing the vertically oriented fencing boards can also be found within the Summers Building tenant parking lot. Utilize as screening for a dumpster, as seen in this photo right here. The dumpster screening within the Summers Building tenant parking lot was stained to maintain a natural wood finish. Fencing with horizontally oriented boards is not an appropriate design for any type of fencing located in the Old and Historic District. The design with vertically oriented boards meets the requirements laid out for privacy fences located in the Old and Historic District. The overall design of the appropriate fence design includes 4-inch by 4-inch by 6-inch square pressure-treated wood posts with 1-inch by 6-inch pressure-treated wood fence boards. Each 4-inch by 4-inch by 6-inch pressure-treated wood will be anchored to the ground using a metal post base anchor. Staff recommendations, the proposed metal pre-finished black post base anchors be installed below grade so as not to be visible. No part of the proposed fencing be anchored to the existing 1885 brick building. An additional section of fencing be added along with a gate similar if not exactly matching the screening found within the Summers Building tenant parking lot to ensure garbage receptacles are not visible from Piggly Wiggly Alley or South Wall Street. And lastly, the proposed wooden privacy fence be either stained to maintain a natural wood finish or be painted white to coincide with the appearance of other wooden fencing within the Old and Historic District. If you have any questions for me or would like me to go just back in the presentation so you can see any of the other pictures, more than happy to do so.
Question,
Sure.
should that be 4 inch by 4 inch by 6 feet?
6 feet, I'm sorry, yeah, 6 feet. So, and again, this type of fence right here, the one that's vertically oriented, that is also found in the Summers Building tenant parking lot.
Okay.
And it's used for dumpster screening, as you can see here. So there is an example of it in the Old and Historic District. This one's just stained to maintain a natural wood finish.
Okay.
As I said in the conditions, either be stained or painted white to match other fencing.
Okay. So, welcome.
Yes, thank you. My name is Timothy Hoke. I live at 243 Fugate Street Southwest here in Abingdon.
Okay. All right. So,
So I think we're in general agreement with the staff findings. We're glad to do the vertical fencing. Gabe, are you able to go back to the overhead view, the plan view?
Sure, not a problem.
I'm definitely fine with doing a gate, but with the way we plan to do the fencing, it would, I think, screen view of the trash receptacles. So we're not planning to do a large dumpster. We would do probably 6 to 8 trash receptacles. And so with the way we plan to conceal that area, there should be room to get around, put the trash receptacles in, and then they would be blocked from public view.
so they'll be blocked from Piggly Wiggly Alley as well as from Wall Street, and
Correct.
that's the object of this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
The one last thing is the post bases were selected because Mamma Mia's water line actually, I'm not sure if it's on their property or ours, but it basically runs right under where the fence would be. And so I'm not totally clear on exactly where it is. So embedding the posts in the ground was why we were trying to avoid damaging that line,
Oh, yes.
essentially. So if y'all would consider possibly either we could paint the post bracket brown to match the stain of the fence, or white to match the white fence, depending on what the owners choose.
Okay, so those, the base anchor will be visible.
Based on our proposal, and that's, I didn't include the reasoning for it
Yeah.
because of the water line below, but if possible, the base anchor would actually be visible. That way we can mount it to the concrete and asphalt and then mount the post to the base anchor.
Oh, okay. And so either way, if you can leave the fence natural, stain it natural,
Mhm.
or you can paint it white. And if you paint it white, you'll paint these white.
Mhm.
And if you leave it natural, you'll get these painted to sort of match.
Well, basically, we'll find a paint that will
Yeah.
blend with
Okay,
the natural.
okay. Any other questions?
Is it paved in that area now that you can anchor the,
So in the rendering
Attached
here, it
anchors.
shows,
So there's a pad, I know it doesn't, but
Yeah,
isn't
that's
there,
an old
there's like a
picture.
pad in this area right here.
so there's a concrete pad where the trash receptacles will be, and then it's paved elsewhere.
paved with?
Asphalt.
All right.
What about the request to paint it black?
I think, well, what we've said here is that in the historic district, the fences are either white or stained natural. And I think he's fine with doing either one
Yes,
of
we're
those.
agreeable
addressed
with that.
the actual white in
In this, Well, we said, can be painted, stained, or left natural.
but it doesn't say white.
It doesn't say white, but we've said white today, if that's
Well,
our view.
I mean, if the preference is for black, I think we need to discuss that.
We can do that.
We're fine with white or.
Because you do have the black railings around the air conditioning.
We also
supports and on
have
that front
the
balcony.
white fascia and soffit, so it would tie in just as well.
It would be all right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that good? Is that good with you?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
Oh, one other question.
Sure.
So the photo of the one, the Summers building is just boards butted side to side. And this other photograph is one where where they're staggered. Are you planning just to do the side by side?
I didn't have the staff findings at the time, so I'm, fine with just going with our design that we used at Summers, since that's already been approved
Just
elsewhere.
side by side boards, butted.
Okay. All right, any further questions? Would you like to make a motion?
Excuse me. I move we approve the application as presented with the wooden fence painted white and the anchors anchored above grade but painted to match the posts.
So in the staff report, they're saying either white or.
Or the natural?
Or the
stained
natural.
natural?
Are you requiring it just white, or could it be white or natural?
Well, I think either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I
we
just
need to
wanted
state that.
clarify.
So the motion is, that Mr. Boyd has made, is to approve the motion as, the application as presented with the the vertical boards butting together,
Mhm.
either painted white or stained natural, and the anchoring post to match, color-wise. Good? All right.
Post anchor,
Hmm.
post anchor,
Post anchor.
not anchoring post.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second by Ms. Bunn. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bunn.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right. All right, our second application is Diane Pasick, and at 106 West Valley Street, Abingdon, construction of a fence on her property.
So yes, the request is from Diane Pasick, applicant/owner, and has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to construct a wooden picket fence around an existing garden bed area at the rear of the lot. The property is located at 106 West Valley Street. The property is within the old and historic zoning district, sub-district 2. Background, the property is currently used as a residence. Staff findings, the applicant proposed to construct a natural wooden picket fence around an existing garden bed area located in the rear yard. The fence will be 33 feet in length facing Plum Alley and 21 feet in length facing west side of the property. The height of the fence will be 4 feet. As you can see here, here's a diagram of relative location where the fence would be placed. Just in real time, that's where the fence would be.
Mhm.
So it's kind of set back into the yard, but still in the rear yard. And this is exactly what the applicant's looking to do. So these are various examples that we found on Plum Alley that match exactly what the applicant's wanting. And these are also left just natural, not stained, not painted, just natural wood. Here's a more up close one. This one's actually right next door to the applicant.
Okay.
And lastly, the fence will be constructed to match the design of other fences located along Plum Alley. A few examples of the existing wooden fence are shown here, so. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. If not, the applicant is here.
All right. Diane?
Diane Pasick, 106 Valley Street, West Valley Street. This is not a very big area. It's my garden area, and the deer are eating everything except the kale and the asparagus. So you can make what you want of that.
They don't like their vegetables.
No, they don't. They're not vegetarians, I guess. But it's actually, it won't even show very much from the alley because it's kind of at a lower level, and it will match the fencing the rest of the way west, not east, but west.
Yes.
All the fencing's the same.
Right. Lot of garden fences in that block
Yeah.
there, yes.
Yeah, every yard is fenced,
Right.
yeah. And this is a very small fence.
Okay. All right, any questions?
Is 4 feet enough to keep the deer out?
Pardon?
4 feet of height, is that enough?
That's what's,
I thought they could jump over 4
that's
feet.
what some other people who have them don't have any problem with the deer jumping over them, so we'll see. Wire on top, I don't know.
Razor wire.
But they seem to think that it works for them.
All right. Okay, any more questions? How about a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve it as presented. Fence.
Okay. Ms. Bunn has made a motion to approve the fence as presented, a 4-foot-high fence, constructed left natural and looking like those fences near her on the west end of her
I'll
property.
second the motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second
I'm
the
sorry. Peyton seconded.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye,
and Mrs. Bond.
Aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, the third application is Tristan Martin of Bundy Architecture and Engineering Incorporated, 190 East Main. The applicant is Bassett. He is not here, but Mr. Bundy is here, I see. Okay, certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a masonry addition onto the south elevation of existing building located at 134 South Wall Street.
So, Del Bassett, owner, and Tristan Martin, or Matthew Bundy, of Bundy Architecture and Engineering Incorporated, representative, has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a brick veneered addition onto the south elevation of the existing building. The property is located at 134 South Wall Street. The property is within the old and historic zoning district, sub-district 3. Background: according to Places in Time, volume 2, written by Nancy C. King, I.B. Wells in 1922 had the building then known as West End Barber Shop and Billiard Parlor, built approximately on the former location of storehouse, constructed by proprietors Broyles and Jones. Based on aerial photographs of Depot Square from 1948, as you can see here, and later in 1957 aerial photo, staff can confirm the rear addition is no more than 60 years old. So the rear addition is where the kitchen is located. So here's 1948, and there's 1957. So pretty much the masonry part of the structure is the original. That back addition that you see that's wood clad, that's no more than 60 years old. So, according to the Department of Historic Resources, DHR, VCRIS database, the one-story commercial-style building was built around 1922. The contributing building is in good condition, but due to alterations only possesses a moderate level of architectural integrity. Here's just some Sanborn maps. 1922, you can see the storehouse that was originally there is gone. And then this is where in 1928 you see that building that's currently there now. Staff findings. The applicant proposes to install a cloth, pre-finished black L-shaped awning with an aluminum frame attached to the existing stucco facade, with anchors through the studs to the southeast corner of the existing building as shown in the architectural renderings below. Based on the architectural renderings submitted, a portion of the proposed cloth pre-finished black awning will attach to the existing building's south elevation and will measure 8 feet by 5.5 inches long and 3 feet in depth. The remaining portion of the cloth pre-finished black awning will be attached to the west elevation of the brick veneered addition, measuring 5 feet, 5.25 inches long and 3 feet in depth. The cloth pre-finished black awning will match the existing cloth pre-finished black awnings attached to the primary or west elevation of the existing building and the secondary or east elevation of the existing rear addition. Overall, the L-shaped awning will match the existing in material, design, and appearance. So, as you can see here, this is where the existing one is on the primary elevation of the existing building, Here's the proposed from the west side. That's how it'll look from the east side. And this is just to show you, here's what the existing looks like. This is what the completed one, if approved, would look like. Moving on, or if you would like to take these one by one, we can.
Why don't we get a general and then decide if we're gonna take them one by one, okay?
Okay. Next, the applicant proposes a 3-foot wide by 6-foot, 8-inch tall by 1 3/4 inch thick wooden door on the west elevation of the brick veneered addition to match the existing doors on the primary west elevation and secondary south elevations of the existing building. Upon on-site observation, staff found the door on the primary west elevation of the existing building to be wooden, painted black with a raised panel at the bottom of the door. The door frame is wooden, clad with aluminum, pre-finished black. However, the door on the secondary or south elevation of the existing building is fabricated from a plastic composite, pre-finished black, meant to appear wooden in texture, with a raised panel at the bottom of the door. The door frame is fabricated from the same material as the door. The raised panels at the bottom of both doors and hardware are similar, but do exhibit small differences. So here's the door on the west elevation, the primary one. This is the one that right now, if you were to go out to like that patio area, and so you can see there's differences slightly in the hardware of like the rail to pull the door open. And then the panels are a little bit different. This one's just raised. This one has a little bit more raising on the additional one too. This is the plastic composite. This is the actual wooden one. Moving on. Staff findings. The applicant proposes a concrete turn down slab. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. I have staff recommendations for that. Staff recommendations: if the door leading into the addition is to be wood, painted black, then the door frame should be wood painted black. 2, the raised panel and hardware on the door leading into the addition must match the wooden door on the primary west elevation of the existing building. That's for the doors. Next section. The applicant proposes a concrete turn-down slab along the edge of the property to be demolished, and a new turn-down concrete slab poured supporting the new addition. The new turn-down concrete slab will be painted to match existing concrete slab color. Turn-down slab will be 1 foot deep, have a bottom width of 1 foot. In total, there will be 3 connected sections with lengths of 28 feet 9 inches, 18 feet, and 5 feet 5 inches. Staff recommendations: concrete for new turn-down slab should not be dyed to match existing non-historic concrete slab, but be left its natural gray color. Next section. The applicant proposes to construct an addition onto the south elevation of the existing building. Essentially, the brick veneered addition will be constructed over the existing non-historic concrete patio. The wooden pergola structure will be removed. Cladding for the addition will include a brick veneer laid in a running bond pattern to match the interior brick walls. Running along the roof line will be terracotta coping to match existing. Upon on-site observation, staff found there is 1 existing window opening on the south elevation of the existing building. According to the design guidelines for new commercial building additions, letter D, construction should be done in which a way that 1, removal of original walls and details from the rear of the building is kept to a minimum, and 2, the addition is connected to the original building through existing door or enlarged window openings. Based on on-site observations and the design guideline requirement found above, the only opening made in the existing south elevation wall must be the lone window. So you can see here's the lone window right here. Staff observed the existing coping is metal, presumably aluminum pre-finished white. Thus, the terracotta coping would not match the existing metal, presumably aluminum pre-finished white coping. However, given the age of the existing structure to be 1922, terracotta is an acceptable material to help blend the existing building style with the new addition. Additionally, the existing building is painted and stuccoed white, whereas the addition will be an unfinished brick veneer laid in a running bond pattern using a Portland cement base mortar Leaving the brick veneer unfinished will help distinguish the modern addition from the existing historic building. Staff recommendations, leaving the brick veneer unfinished to help distinguish the modern addition from the existing historic building. Next section. The applicant proposes a low sloped roof to match existing roof slope and brick parapet to tie into the existing roof of the building. Terracotta coping along top of the parapet wall to match existing coping. EPDM rolled rubber roof cladding. The existing building has an EPDM rolled rubber roof cladding. The roof will not be seen from any public vantage point. The existing parapet coping appears to be metal, pre-finished white, not terracotta, thus the proposed coping does not match the existing. The existing metal pre-finished white coping is not original nor historic. Staff recommendations, ensure coping for existing building parapet and proposed addition parapet matches one another. Next section, onto the windows. The applicant proposes 3 fixed double pane tempered glass windows along the addition's south elevation as shown in the rendering provided. Each window will measure 8 feet wide by 4 feet tall. According to the submittal, the windows and frame will be wooden painted black to match existing window on the primary or west elevation. Each window will have a brick veneer seal. The bricks will be oriented to be stretchers. Based on on-site observations, the existing window on the primary or west elevation is wood, and the frame is wood clad in aluminum, painted black. However, the sill of the window on the primary or west elevation is brick, oriented to be stretchers. The difference between the proposed and existing is the cladding of the window frame. And so here's what you can see with the addition. Here's the windows that they're proposing. Here's just kind of a colored rendering. And you can see right here, here's the terracotta coping. And this is the existing window on the west elevation. So the actual window is wood, but the frame is wood clad in aluminum and it's painted black. If you have any questions for me on any of these sections, more than happy to go through them, or we can just kind of go one by one, and whatever questions you have for me, we can tackle them that way as well.
Well, I'm sure that everybody will join me that this is a complicated application.
Yeah.
And so I think we would appreciate let's just go one by one and let Mr. Bundy explain each piece of it.
Yeah.
It looks to me like there are probably about 4 to 5 separate decisions that need to be made.
Sure. And to give you a little background, he has a problem right now. People queue up all through that hallway where you walk in. There's benches there, and then people are all through there, and then a lot of people come in to pick up. He has a lot of to-go orders. This is all Friday and Saturday mostly, and so he ends up with just a huge mess of people piled up right around the registers, which is the way it is now, is right on top of the tables too. And so he really wants to interior separate, and so use that existing door that's on the railroad track side for to-go orders, so people just come in there, and we're building a wall, so you have to go straight to the counter and pick up your to-go order and go, so you no longer would mix with the waiting for a table.
Now that door, excuse me for interrupting, but that door is existing?
Yes.
That's the door that's the composite door, okay.
I'm just giving you an idea of why.
Yeah,
he's
no.
doing this. So then
That's
the lot
good.
is
That's
very
good. No, that's good.
complicated
Yeah.
configuration, so that's why the geometry is a little bit weird, but what we want to do to keep it very simple is just basically a flat roof with parapet, then it'll drain back onto the other roof, which drains back to drains towards the old mercantile. Which that way there's no water dumping on the sidewalk, and not having to deal with gutters trying to get out because there's really nowhere to take them. So, and we just thought, we thought the terracotta looked better with the brick, looked older than a metal coping, but either way on that. So, that's kind of it. We played around with painted brick, white, to try to match what's there, and like he said, I think it looked better just leaving it natural.
Just to distinguish it as a
Yeah.
frank addition.
Because it's a mixture of stucco that's very roughly put on, and then the front is brick that's painted white, and then
Yeah.
the rest of it's black siding of some sort.
Yeah, it does need to be pointed out, as you have, that it has had a lot of alterations over
Yeah.
its years, and it is not really determined to be a contributing structure either.
Yeah, right.
So I have a question to continue further on the addition. The addition is it going to replace the patio out there?
Yeah.
And so there, you want to have 3 windows in that. And that seems to be something to discuss is whether or not that many windows could be allowed in this. Because Gabe, you were talking about the existing window. The premise of having the existing window be the only place there could be an opening.
So, because these are on the exterior of the building, 3 would be fine. I would bring us to, let me bring this up real quick. If we're looking at the plans, which I just caught this a little bit ago. But so, it looks like here, right here, this one right here, here, and here, this is the original wall of the existing building. So that's where it comes into play, where, according to the guidelines, we want to only limit it to where a window or a door is enlarged for an opening. According to the guidelines here, these 3 openings, if they look like openings, at least in the plans, would go against the guidelines. But if this door, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, it looks like this door, from what I could tell, was in the place of where the window is, correct? Or is it a little off?
No, it's not. It's back where like there's the soda fountains and stuff are right now.
Okay. So,
I'm not sure where that is.
Well, if we're looking on page, at 9, on page 9, and on what we have right in front of us, that's sort of an easy place to look at the question that I'm asking. Because there's the existing door, that's the composite door, that's going in straight to the cash register for
Yep.
to-goes.
that's right here.
And then here's the addition that seems to be covering up that window that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah,
It is.
yep. So this addition would be covering that window there.
Okay,
So but having these 3 windows here,
on new construction?
that is fine.
Okay,
It's when it
Right.
comes to, again, this is up to the board's discretion and the guidelines and
Right.
stuff. But there's 3 openings that appear right here, if you see up here, Betsy,
Yeah.
where I'm pointing.
okay.
Are they windows? I don't remember seeing those 3 that Gabe's
They're,
pointing to.
they're not there,
They're new.
yeah.
They're covering up. They're in the new edition that covers up. There's one little window, and it's very dark.
I'm talking about those 3 openings on the existing wall.
No,
They don't exist.
I
No,
didn't
he
think they
wants
did.
to open them up with arch openings that are about table height, so that the people in there don't feel like they're in a different restaurant.
this is the only existing opening on that side,
Okay,
which I'm excluding the door, the composite door here. But where the
Right.
new addition would go would be covering up this window. And so according to the guidelines, it says, try to limit openings when it goes into the original wall of a building to only use existing opening of a window or a door. So again, it's up to the board and to determine if you want to allow them to make 4 new openings or just enlarge the window opening and keep the rest of the wall intact.
so the 4 openings that you're talking about are the 3 new windows plus the new door?
And they are not windows, they're just openings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're just,
Yeah,
Oh,
so
they're
this
not.
is, so this right here is where my cursor is.
Okay,
This is all the new addition.
yeah,
This right here, where my cursor's going down, that's the original wall.
Can you zoom in way further, Gabe?
yeah.
It's really almost impossible to see from that
Let's see
perspective.
if I can. So here's where the proposed windows are to be on the new addition. So really what we're looking at, so these windows would be fine, because they're on the new addition. It's here is where you would have to make the determination if you would want to allow them to make openings, really 4 additional openings in the wall,
okay.
or just allow them to expand the existing window opening on that
Okay.
south elevation.
Oh, now, I think I'm understanding now, but now they are now going to be interior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we
Okay.
don't
We
have
have
any.
no
Oh,
purview
yes.
if we,
So
if
we're
we
not,
allow
it's not even
the,
being.
Well-
if we allow the addition, then they can do.
Well, you're allowing it by the plan, so even though it would be interior, it's still gonna be an exterior based on what we're building here. So that's where that guideline comes into play of,
Okay,
you would only allow certain openings to happen on the existing walls in a new construction such as this one addition's hooking into. So probably what happened like next door, where you see there's a hyphen, just right here, there's a hyphen that only connects into one opening. And there's an addition back there.
Okay.
And the functionality of it, you have to have that one door for sure. And so if that can't be in, I think it's like no point discussing it really. And then the other ones, I really think, like that place is so dark right now, we're gonna have those 3 huge windows and it's gonna make it very light. And if we have those arched openings, even people sitting on the old part, I think it's gonna greatly improve the restaurant.
Right,
Even if
okay.
it does damage the integrity of that glorious wall that's there. I think it's probably
Okay.
block wall.
So the old, I mean, the window that's there further back is too far back to use as that new connection to the addition.
Can you please go back to
yeah.
show the other picture, please, the layout?
Nope, hold on.
So this opening is definitely solid wall. You guys can't even see that. But the opening where the door is solid wall now, but it's right at a drink station. So the only way waitstaff can serve this area, because the geometry is so tight, is going in and out through there. So it's basically gonna have to have a door there.
But there's a window
It's closer. It's
further back, right? Or,
I mean, it's closer to the Main Street where that window is, or Wall Street.
oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, all right, I think I understand that now.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything to say?
I do.
Okay.
And I was gonna ask you about the drainage, but then you
Uh-huh.
explained that, but are you gonna be higher than the existing parapet and just go
It is. We
drain
checked
over
that.
the top?
The
With
existing
flashing or
parapet
something?
drops a little bit. I mean, it's got a parapet and it drops the roof down, so ours, we just draw on the section through there and we're just feeding right into it.
Okay. Mr. Geisler, would you like to come forward?
Yeah, actually, is the wall that's, the exterior wall where it's stucco, is that still gonna stay stucco between the addition and the front?
Yeah, we aren't doing any alterations to that.
Anything else? Have we covered everything, Matt?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Okay.
No, I did that. I did
All right. I
wanna
think-
say something.
Okay, say something.
So when you create the turn down for the new wall,
Mhm.
are you just slicing off part of that existing slab and leaving the rest? Or is the whole slab coming out and a new one poured?
You know, that's a good question, where to connect from that side door to the existing door, we certainly could re-pour that. It's gonna probably be destroyed to the point of.
That's what,
And then
Good
there was a
wonder.
question about the color of it not being appropriate. So, I think, with it being such a minor space, we can re-pour that.
does that edge have to show, or would it be?
No, I don't
would the-
understand why
would
that
the
was.
brick cover it?
Yeah, the brick would just cover that edge.
So that's not even an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, just to clarify that, where the turn down is, there was a lot of discussion about what color that would be, and the brick would just go down to the grate, so you wouldn't see the turn down of the slab.
One last comment for you to make is the coping, as whether or not the coping would be the terracotta or would be white to match the other. Do you have a preference for that? for either?
You know, I like, because it's sort of just a distinctly, we're kind of showing it as a completely, or distinctly different addition, and I think the terracotta looks nicer with the brick, but either way.
So what your point is that if the addition, if we're asking for the addition to be a frank addition, that may as well just continue that to make the coping the same. Is that what you're saying?
To make it the terracotta?
To make it the terracotta, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you make it white, like on the other part of the building, it's gonna really stand out.
Yeah.
It will. You have a comment on that, Dave?
And so it's up to the board again to determine if you want the existing building to have that coping, to
Uh-huh.
just match in a sense, to blend in, but again, since we're leaving the addition just finished brick,
Uh-huh.
it was just to tie it in, because terracotta would have probably been as a coping, as we see in other areas in the OH,
Uh-huh.
that terracotta was used as a coping for other buildings, commercial buildings. So terracotta as a material would be more appropriate for this building instead of the metal coping that's there now, as you can see in this photo. It's just kind of more of a flashing than a coping, I would kind of describe it as.
It will blend in more, what you're saying, it will blend in more to its addition, to the
Yeah.
addition that it's with.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
Any further questions or comments?
I was gonna say, if you guys wanna take these one at a time and just go awning and
I think we probably should.
going that way.
I think that's probably the easiest thing for us to do.
I would only suggest that if you have comments on them. If you're accepting it as presented, then you really don't have to go through that effort, but.
Well, how about this then? How about if I state it, and if I'm saying it correctly from one to the next, then we can take it as one. Is that okay? Okay. All right, so the application is for an awning. The new awning will match the existing awning on the west-facing front exactly, in color and in size. We have the proposed new door, which will be made out of wood.
Mhm.
And the addition will be brick. It will be, it will include the 3 windows as presented. And it will have coping that will be terracotta to match the brick color. The roof will be as presented, and yes, and its coping will be terracotta, as I just said. Did that cover all things?
And the concrete stoop,
Oh, and
the
the
side
con-
door
oh, the
will just
con-
be left natural.
The concrete
be
slab will be left natural.
Demolished and
Repoured.
Okay.
repoured with natural concrete.
And the slab will be repoured and left natural,
Well, it won't be visible.
since it won't be visible, really.
So
It'll
I
be.
don't think we need to.
Just, but it's that
stipulate.
one little side part.
There's a piece
See
of it
the-
right there that you can see. It won't be visible under the addition,
The
but
side
right there it
door.
will.
That triangular section between the 2 doors.
We might be able to leave that.
Yeah, I do. I thought you wanted it replaced. but I
No,
think
just the
it's
part
in-
under the,
Yeah, under the slab for sure. Under the building.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a weird
Mr.
color.
Geisler has a comment.
Hey man, is there enough room on if you wanted to add awnings over those 3 new windows to put them there on that side, is there still enough room to do that?
They would be in the right of way.
I'm just thinking that would really help the looks of it.
Yeah, it would, and it'd be nice, because it'd be on the south side, and so it would save a lot of heat gain too.
To do what? What was that?
I was just saying, if there was enough room to put awnings on those new windows, it would really tie it together with the rest of the building.
Oh, awnings.
Awnings, but it would stick out over the street, is what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. All right, so what do we just resolve about the concrete with the visible, the remaining visible?
I would prefer to just leave what's there. I'm sure the set would prefer to. But if it's an issue, we definitely could replace it.
I don't believe it came up as an issue. Look, just leave it?
Yeah.
So therefore, if the,
The exposed part.
yes. So therefore, does that leave none of the concrete slab being visible? So do we need to take it off the table? Well, why don't we amend it to just say, if there is any visible concrete that has to be replaced, it will be left natural?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, how was that? That get it?
We got the awning, we got the door. Got the concrete. Roof. Yeah, and then you said, and then we have coping for both
Yes.
existing and new addition.
Oh, new coping for the existing?
If you
No.
wanted to do that.
No, I
Just
don't
the
think so.
addition.
Just the addition, yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
How about a motion to that effect?
Also move.
Mr. Boyd made the motion that I just articulated,
And I will second.
and Ms. Bunn seconded that. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bond.
Aye.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Excited.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, so application number 4 is Hank McCarthy, 315 East Valley Street, Abingdon, owner, for exterior changes. Welcome.
So request by Grace and Henry McCarthy, applicant slash owner, has requested approval of certificate of appropriateness for a variety of exterior changes. The property is located at 315 East Valley Street. The property is within the old and historic zoning districts of District 2. Background. According to Places and Time, Volume 1, written by Nancy C. King, the building was built in the early to mid-1800s and is known as the Jacob Clark House. William Jones built an addition onto the western part of the structure in 1840. However, the Washington County Land Card states the structure dates to 1900. According to the Department of Historic Resources, DHR VCRIS database, the Jacob Clark House was built around 1890. The two-story, three-bay wood frame building was built in no discernible style but exhibits Queen Anne architectural features. The contributing building possesses a good level of architectural integrity, retaining its overall massing and several original materials. The primary elevation has been modified through a narrow addition on the west side of the massing, evidenced by a break in the siding, thus changing the massing and the roof line. The continuous stone foundation supports a structural system clad in weatherboard siding. The facade features a wraparound hip roofed porch with a brick foundation. The roof of the porch is supported by turned wooden posts. A wood spindle work frieze lines the top of the porch, and a wood railing with turned wood post lines all sides. A front gable addition is located on the north side of the building. The foundation is not visible, and the structural system is clad in vinyl siding. So here's some Sanborn maps. This is the earliest one where it shows in 1902. You just see the front of the building and the full-length front porch, the back eel, and it actually had a one-story kind of porch area on the back as well. 1908, same layout. 1913, we start to see that wraparound porch coming into play. 1922, we see it get extended all the way to the end of the corner, and we start to see some changes happen to the eel in the back. And 1928, kind of the same thing as what we saw in 1922. At the September 7th, 2022 regular meeting, the applicant had several exterior changes and landscape features approved, including the replacement of the existing corrugated metal roof cladding, painted dark green with a true standing seam with no serrations or ribs between seams, roof cladding painted with the color that presented, which was hunter green. A sample of the roofing would have to be turned into staff. Replacement of existing metal pre-finished white half-round gutters and round downspouts with metal pre-finished white half-round gutters, round downspouts, a concrete walkway, and new retaining wall constructed of gray stone pavers located in the northwest corner of the rear eel. So it already has some prior approvals that you guys have seen. So if this looks familiar, that's the reason why. First thing, staff findings. The applicant requests the allowance of an unapproved enlargement of an existing window opening on the west elevation of the rear eel that contained a vinyl 1/1 double hung sash window with a door painted white and frame painted hunter green to match the existing paint scheme of the building as shown below. So you can see there is kind of already a set paint scheme that's here in our existing one, where hunter green's kind of the frame of it, and then white's for all the other types of fascia. And so you can see this is where the unapproved enlargement is. This is what was there before. According to the applicant's review and consultation with Gay Leonard, a previous resident, the location of the window was originally a door and haphazardly replaced with the vinyl 1990s window. Based on an inventory of photographs taken in the 1970s and 1980s, as you can see from this photo here, staff was able to locate one photograph showing the window opening prior to the vinyl window installation. A 2/2 wooden double-hung sash window appears to be seen in a 1988 photograph. Staff at this time could not find any documentary or pictorial evidence proving the existing window opening proposed to be enlarged was a door opening. And here's what, again, here's where that opening was with that vinyl window. Here's the door that the applicant is proposing to place there. Additionally, the applicant proposed to remove and seal a recently added door on the east elevation of the rear eel, not visible from a public vantage point. Existing door opening will be covered with appropriate wooden siding. So here's the door right here, and you cannot see it from the street. I confirmed that. Next, the applicant proposed to assess and repair any cracks or weaknesses in the foundation. According to the applicant's submittal and staff on-site observations, the rear eel and the northwest corner of the main building / wraparound porch had experienced numerous inches of settlement. Due to poor drainage caused by inappropriate gutter and downspout system, water was routed to various areas along the base of the west and north elevation of the building, where it was left to collect, thus resulting in water damage in the form of wood rot. The rear eel had no foundation, whereas the northwest corner of the main building / wraparound porch foundation had appeared to undergo numerous building campaigns. Underneath the northwest corner of the wraparound porch was a combination of wood, brick, and CMU. To access the foundation underneath the main building / wraparound porch, a section of the porch was removed without approval. Prior to the issuance of the stop work order, the applicant had or was in the process of implementing measures to counter the settlement issues and lack of foundation. The intention of the applicant is to salvage, repair, and restore the porch to its original quality after foundation has been renovated. All foundation renovations along the west and north elevations of the main building or wraparound porch and rear eel will be below grade and not visible from any public vantage point. So here's just where they had it formed up, where they're going to be pouring the concrete and to form up the foundation there. This is evidence of there was settlement and there was really no foundation underneath this port. And as you saw from the sandbore maps, this kind of section of the porch did go under numerous building campaigns at one point. I should say historic building campaigns at one point. Staff recommendations: a stone foundation on the west elevation and a brick foundation on the south elevation are visible from public vantage points. No work is proposed to occur to these foundations. If repair are to occur, additional information and a repair procedure must be submitted for review before work can begin. So again, no work's going to be happening on that side. It's just this side where settlement has occurred. But if anything does happen, they would have to come before you again. Next, the applicant proposes to leave the historically existing paint, whether it be on visible or encapsulated architectural features, undisturbed. Instead, the existing paint on visible or encapsulated architectural features will be painted over, otherwise known as encapsulation. Based on the applicant's submittal, the existing paint on the historic wooden weatherboards is oil-based. An oil-based paint must be applied to ensure the existing paint and proposed paint adhere to each other properly, avoiding the possibility of air pockets forming between the two layers, allowing moisture to be trapped. Not stated within the applicant's submittal is whether remaining existing painted surfaces have oil or latex-based paint applied to them. These remaining existing painted surfaces, paint type must be identified before encapsulation to avoid future water damage. And so here you can see farmhouse white will be used for the weatherboards and existing painted white fashion trim, hunter green for the porch columns and existing painted green fashion trim, and light gray for the wraparound porch flooring. Not stated within the applicant's submittal is whether remaining existing painted surfaces have oil base, so they'll just have to make sure that it's either oil or latex before they apply those to make sure there's no pockets in there. Next, the applicant proposed to renovate and replace the porch flooring, ceiling, and railings. Any wood that is salvageable will be reused. Based on on-site observation, staff can conclude the wraparound front porch flooring had undergone an incomplete building campaign. The original wraparound porch flooring appears to be wooden tongue and groove, painted light gray. Roughly the eastern half of the porch flooring was covered over with another wooden tongue and groove flooring painted light gray. Staff observed many of the original wooden tongue and groove floor pieces were deteriorated beyond repair. So when me and the applicant were walking through, we noticed that for some reason somebody put half of the porch with another layer for some reason and didn't do the other half, so that was odd. And most of the boards on there you can feel that they're deteriorating. There's some sponginess to that. So there is a lot of deterioration with this deck. Based on on-site observation, staff can conclude the ceiling of the wraparound front porch is wooden, original, and is painted white. Staff observed isolated sections of the wooden ceiling was deteriorated beyond repair. However, much of the wooden ceiling could be reused. Based on on-site observation, staff can conclude much of the wooden balustrade painted white, the turned wooden columns painted green, wooden brackets painted white, and decorative wooden spindles running along the bottom of the wraparound front porch fascia are in good condition and require minor repairs. There are some that are a little bit beyond repair, but as I've stated, the applicant will be replicating those and replacing like for like when needed.
That was good.
So here's an example of just the original, or maybe not but an early tongue and groove floor. And so you can see here, the paint's come off already, but it is a light gray. There is a lot of signs of deterioration. Here's the isolated ceiling deterioration here. There are other sections that are a little deteriorated, but most of it is in pretty good condition. Here's just a few photos. So probably also because of the improper gutter system that was on there, that the applicant came before you before, and he will be fixing that, but that was from a previous owner that had some sort of rain catching device, caused the wood rot in a lot of places. But you can see that, you know, there's been wood rot here. This column had to be propped up by a brick at one point because there was a deterioration from this base here. Along here too, there was a lot of spongyness. You could feel that the boards were giving as I was walking over them. So the decking is in rather poor condition, but you can see here that there's already some replacements that they put in prior to the stop work order, and they match exactly to what was there before. Here's a picture of the column. Here's a picture of those kind of the wooden frieze that runs along the porch. And so most of these are in good condition, but if some that need repair, the applicant will be matching the same pattern, same material, everything for those. Staff recommendations: all architectural features associated with the wraparound front porch are in good condition or not deteriorated beyond repair should be repaired using wood epoxy and not replaced to maintain the building's historical integrity. 2, all architectural features associated with the wraparound front porch deteriorated beyond repair may be replaced to match existing in material, design, and appearance. Next, the applicant proposed to remove all pre-finished white vinyl siding from the building to reveal the encapsulated historic wooden weatherboards painted white. So as you can see here in this picture, mostly it's the rear eel that has that vinyl on it. And if you can see here, can't really zoom in too much more there, but you can see that the wooden weatherboards are right here behind the vinyl. With the condition of the encapsulated historic wooden weatherboards unknown, the applicant proposed to replace any deteriorated beyond repair wooden weatherboards with a like-for-like replacement matching the existing encapsulated wooden weatherboards in material, design, and appearance. Any deteriorated beyond repair wooden weatherboards under the pre-finished vinyl siding will be 7 inches by 5 1/8 inch. As previously mentioned, the Jacob Clark House has undergone a variety of repairs and alterations throughout its history, including siding for the exterior walls of the building. When on-site, staff observed 2 different types of siding was being utilized. Historically, the Jacob Clark House was clad in wooden weatherboards, whereas pre-finished white vinyl siding was installed inappropriately onto the south elevation of the main building and to all elevations of the rear eel. Underneath the pre-finished white vinyl siding, as shown in the photo, the historic wooden weatherboards observed to be painted white, matching the weatherboards in profile and finish as seen in the east, south, and west elevations of the main building. When on-site, staff could not examine the condition of the encased historic wooden weatherboards. Staff recommendations: all visible and encapsulated wooden weatherboards in good condition or not deteriorated beyond repair should be repaired using wood epoxy and not replaced to maintain the building's historic integrity. And 2, all visible and encapsulated wooden weatherboards deteriorated beyond repair may be replaced to match existing material, design, and appearance. So overall, with the siding, we're looking to bring it back to how it looked before. If you have any questions for me, I can answer them. If not, the applicant is here.
Thank you.
Sure. So Hank McCarthy, 315 Valley Street. Happy to be here.
And you should be commended for restoring this contributing structure.
Thank you. We love the house. It's as Gabe and I did not design our outfits, by the way.
No, yeah.
Or maybe we did. But yeah, well, you know, when we first came in, we actually wanted to get to know the house to see, you know, what our commitment level was and everything. It's definitely there. it's unfortunately taken us quite a long time to find someone who's capable and able to do what needed to be done in the home. And a lot of the discoveries we kind of knew were there, but were done via interior, like the kitchen work. So when they went into the kitchen and pulled up the tile and vinyl that was there, it was completely rotted on this western side where you can see where they removed it, when it sunk 3 inches, which you could tell if you've ever been in that house at that point, you get vertigo going sideways. So that just confirmed that. And then the back of the house as well with the plumbing. The pipes burst twice while we've owned it, so we had to get all the plumbing, interior stuff done originally to protect the house. But then, as we knew, like Gabe pointed out, the drains for the past at least decade plus, they had routed them. I don't know what the decision was, but if you can see, they routed not just this one in the corner, so all the water, and this one right here is the main culprit of the house, just dropped water into that where there's no foundation, and it's wood on wood. So that's where we got a little bit ahead of ourselves, and Gabe came in because to look at the foundation, they had to get under that corner of the porch. And what we were having happen too is it was so bad that after it rained in that corner of the house, if you put anything in that side, there would be mold like after 2 days on the whatever it was sitting over there. So we're like, all right, we gotta get our hands under this. So I think luckily we have someone in a team that's really knowledgeable. They did our neighbor, Kenton Thompson, just to the west side, left of the house, 311 or
301?
30
Or 301 West?
yeah, right on
East
the
Valley?
corner where they did
corner,
extension,
yes.
the gray and green. So he definitely knows our place too. But so we've tucked in and we're committed now. So we're just, getting it going. I think the requests we have about the door on this side, as you see, there's a lot of doors going on in this section and the back heel. There's the two in the very back, that have been, exactly on these two sides. And then there's this window, which supposedly used to be a, floor to ceiling matching window that had particle board under it. And then this side, which Gay thought it might have been a door beforehand, and then they replaced it with a sliding up floor to ceiling window. Then it was replaced by a vinyl, window with a bunch of particle boards stacked under it. Our goal is to keep the character of the house and enhance the beauty and the light into the kitchen, and have an egress on that side, because having an egress, the door on the other side,
Is this the east facing?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
This is the non-public.
And so, and this is actually an interior door that they took off of one of the living room doors and put here, and then sealed it with foam and sealant, so it's totally unusable. There's actually no hinges on that door.
Oh.
It was the same with some of the doors in the back that were sealed off. So, and then at that point, if you have so many doors, we're like, it kind of starts losing sense to have that many doors. If we could have the access door, because the porch and everything's on the other side of the kitchen, on the west-facing sides, so we were like, that makes the most logical sense to come in and out of the house. Those are the two kind of, I would say, main changes, because everything else we would like to do is preserving the home.
So is this door, this outlined in red, is that the one you want to remove and
Yes.
and cover with the wood?
Yes,
weatherboards? Okay,
exactly.
Okay. And you want to keep that other one right there?
Yeah.
And we don't see either one of those anyway from the street.
Yeah, you don't see
No.
these two. You see this one a little bit if you go down, but these two are completely hidden from the street view.
And so on the other side, on the west side, that door right there, I have I think a true memory of walking over there when we first moved here in 1978 and speaking to Mrs., I guess it was Clark,
Yeah,
at a door right there.
yeah.
She came out of that door to talk to us. Which, if that helps to make
Yeah,
make
no,
it. I'm sure I'm right.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, we just couldn't find any pictorial
Yeah.
evidence at the moment, but again, it
Yeah,
always
I
does help
think-
to
I
have that.
think
yeah,
it's-
and from the interior, when you look out from the kitchen when they were
It looks
pulling
like
back, you
it.
could see
It looks
where
like
there was
that.
almost a door framing for
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of other cool stuff in there.
Oh,
that they-
right.
Or and different unique things.
Right, okay. So therefore, to piece this complicated out, you have the request to put the door here. Is that the door you want to put there?
Of this style, we found a couple doors of this exact same common style from like 1870, 1860,
Mhm.
1850 as well, that are basically this exact same format. There's a couple, there's the other style that's just almost the full glass double,
Mhm.
like, I guess down a panel.
Mhm.
But those were basically the ones we were looking at and that were available and findable, that we would paint matching the scheme, as Gabe said, hunter green and white outside.
So what you're trying to do is find an existing door.
Yes,
of
yes,
the
so we have
period.
this one on hold, but, we
Mhm.
can
Okay,
source
okay,
other doors matching the era.
okay. And then the other thing that you want to do is all, as you say, repair and renovate and restore the whole porch area and
Yeah.
an area. And the foundation is something that you intend to put off?
Yeah,
Or-
well, they did assessment of basically under the middle of the house, which is really complicated to get to. I don't, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but where the stonework is, which is the eastern corner, which is where the blacksmith original cabin was, that's the only place with that type of stonework. And that's solid, that's like built to stay. That could, you can put a few little stones and fixtures there. The main part is in the middle back and then covered by the porch side, where there's just a hodgepodge of either a structural foundation, or, as Gabe said, just a couple bricks and some rocks stacked up, or some errant pieces of wood.
Mhm.
So they've gone in. They've got holdings and temporary posts in there to put that all in place
Okay.
under the house.
So therefore, with the foundation, you're either going to do nothing right now, and whatever you do, you'll come back later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Any of especially the stonework or any of the brickwork or
Okay.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what we need to deal with tonight are the two doors,
Yes.
the two door requests and the porch.
Yep.
The multiple issues with the porch.
Yep.
Okay, why don't we take them separately? Shall we do that?
Sure.
Let's take the west door to put a new west door that is of the period in the place of the window right there as shown.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion was made by Ms. Bond to approve the door as presented in the application, the new door facing west.
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyd.
Mr. Boyd,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bond.
Aye.
Okay, and then on the east side, to remove the door that's there and replace that with weatherboard to match the weatherboard that is there
Mhm.
now, alongside it. Okay,
And you did say that's visible?
That one's not visible.
It's not
So
really
why would
visible.
they-
Oh, well, you don't
why
have to
are
make a
they
motion.
making
You don't have to make a
on
motion on that one. This is
okay,
not
well, we
visible.
don't have to make a motion, we were just making a motion.
I
It's an
appreciate
important
Yes,
structure.
It is.
All right, we'll not make that motion then. Okay, so now, this is more complicated to articulate, the porch. So could we say it in a general way of restoring the porch where it is needed with materials that are of the period and are wood? Or how can we better say that?
So one way you could, and the applicant's gonna, they've mentioned that they want to reuse whatever can be reused, but I would just say, where deteriorated beyond repair, replace like for like to match existing, using the paint colors supplied by the applicant.
So the request would be to repair the porch using, keeping materials that are repairable as is, and when deteriorated beyond repair, to replace them with, like for like.
Yeah.
Okay, all right? Okay. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Bunn has made that motion. Second by Mr. Boyd.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Bunn?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We
As
thank
we-
you. We thank you.
Yeah, we love the place. It's such a cool.
Oh, it is.
Hopefully it'll be around for generations to
Yes.
come beyond this.
Yeah. Because of your attitude towards it, it will.
Yeah, it's
That's very
super.
good. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Is that it for that one?
With this
I think you
siding.
had one more,
Oh.
just to remove
Oh.
vinyl, any
Oh.
vinyl siding that's there
Oh,
to
okay.
replace
All
with
right.
wooden weather
All right, I
boards
forgot
to
about
match
that
existing.
one. Okay. So the applicant wants to, when there is vinyl siding still on the house, to remove it and replace it with, do you say the weatherboards are under there, though?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the ones we could access from the inside
Uh-huh.
and bits from the outside when they had to get in, look actually surprisingly good. So the vinyl probably saved it from more to neglect.
So what you would do is restore when possible, use and restore the weatherboards that are there.
Right.
And those that are not, to replace them with.
Like for like with,
Like
yeah,
for like.
Hewn
Okay.
wood, it's cut
Okay.
exactly the same.
Okay, okay, motion?
I'll make that motion
Okay.
to remove the vinyl siding and replace with a weatherboard like for like.
Second.
And second by Mr. Boyd.
Mr. Boyd?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye,
Mrs. Bunn?
Aye.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay, we'll see you
Nice-
around.
Good to see you. Yeah, see some folks around. Gabe, of course, and nice to meet you, Brooke. I don't think we met the last time we were working before.
No, probably not.
So pleasure.
Yes.
We'll be up more.
All right,
when
good.
it's, more habitable.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Hank. Okay, so next. So Gabe, you have the plaque program here.
Yes, so,
I think you should just discuss it and not read the staff report.
no, yeah, I was gonna.
Okay,
present
yeah,
this.
because it's kind of just an interesting thing, so.
Yeah. So, we got a grant for associated with VA 250, and so we have associated building plaques on historic buildings from the place by the Old Avenue Association. I went around and documented a few, and there seems to be like 9 different styles of them. So, this is like what probably the original looked like, where it was painted on, but it's rusting.
That's mine.
This one's
Oops.
painted.
It also looks like it says Old Abingdon Assassins Group, so.
This is another one kind of in the same area, but it's probably just been painted a little bit more recently. This one, for some reason, they put numbers on them. So I'm not sure if it was part of a tour at one point or a scavenger hunt of some sort, but there's a few that have numbers on them. And they, again, were replaced by, some say Old Avenue Associations, some don't even have it. This one, again, it doesn't even have Avenue Association, and it's kind of different fasteners, but it has a number. These are more on the newer side, but they were just screwed in. They're metal again, all these are metal. And these have private residence, but way down at the bottom where you can barely see. I was myself staring right at this, and I didn't see private residence till I took a little extra time to see it, so.
Yeah, I just now saw that.
So there's only a few that are like this. This one's relatively new, it got refurbished. The thing is though, a lot of these have vinyl lettering or vinyl like a border around it. And as you can kind of see, if I can zoom in, no, it won't let me zoom in anymore. Maybe. Nope.
I think this one is quite new.
This one's quite new, but the vinyl that you can kind of see here is already peeling off, so technically somebody could just take it and peel off the border, so. And this is maybe a year old.
I know, and one thing,
That's about 10 years old, it's on this building, I think,
is it that old?
This one's been recently redone though. The design, the plaque is probably 10 years old, but the lettering and the design of it is relatively new. Then we've got these, relatively new. Again, they have that vinyl on it, but these are fairly new, so again, they're still on there. Some have even been like clear coated, so the lettering, you can't feel it raises. There's like a clear coat over it, so it encapsulated it. And some have all different types of fasteners. Some just have screws, some have bolts with washers, some have these really intricate pyramidal nails in a sense. So suffice it to say, there is a lot of variation that we have. So we're looking to do, since we got grant money, to do 9 or so plaques, I believe. something
Well,
like that
we'll just
number.
back up a little bit. So the grant money that we got through the Virginia 250 is for 2 things. It's for a walking tour app. So we're actually hiring a company to do the app portion of it. And then, as part of that, what we really wanna do is install QR codes throughout the community. So in front of gravestones, in front of anything related to the Revolutionary War, because that's what this grant is for. However, once the grant has been completed, we will have the app and we will have the plaque program in place and we'll have the QR codes. And so we can expand on the entire district. So, to start with, we really need to identify the locations that we want on the walking tour. But as part of that, you know, Gabe and I were talking and we said we've always wanted to kind of bring back the plaque program. And so now would be a good time to determine what we would like all the plaques to look like in the future. So beyond the original amount of money that we would have to do some of the Revolutionary War associated plaques, then we would create a database with all of the language. I think we've talked about this a little bit, but we'd create a database with the language so that people would not have to come in front of the board and have any type of a discussion on what's on the sign. If you wanted one for your home, you would come in to us and we would have them for $300 or something of that nature. And you could just come in and buy one and attach it to your building. So it may not even be a discussion tonight. This is sort of to introduce it to you all, and have you think about it. But basically the decision that needs to be made is what type of sign do you want? Do you want the signs to be attached only to buildings? Are you okay if somebody wanted to put a plaque in their yard or on a fence? And then from there, we'll go forward with creating a database of what the signs would say, bring that to you all for approval, and work through that process.
Well, I mean, obviously, we've talked about this here and there for a while. I think it's a very important discussion because if not done appropriately, it really will not add anything positive to the district. But if done well, it really will. I mean, some of them, as you've shown, including ours, are in poor condition. But you know, not only is the look of the sign itself needing to be discussed, but what the content is, rather than having everybody rewrite their content.
Correct.
I mean, you know, I guess they were done by the Old Abington Association. I think that was Rod Stewart's mother's group. And they've been here a long time. They're a part of life here. So it's not a light thing to
Correct.
decide. So I think it's nice that we're starting and having a discussion about the pros and the cons of, I mean, for instance, would the QR code be something that's very, very obvious and visible, or would it be something that doesn't even have to be there? I don't know.
Yeah, so the idea with the QR code is that, one, it would not be something that was permanent on the sign, because, as you know, it's a website, and so you'd want the signs to be the permanent thing. We actually have been talking to sign companies to see if there'd be some way that we basically could slide a QR code into it. Or they could also just be on the app, and as you walked by them, you'd have your phone open and you could say, like, here's the house, which is probably why some of those had numbers on them. I'm sure it was associated with a map or a walking tour or something at one time.
I bet so.
But then the other thing that we found is that you can actually get these stakes that you put into the ground that have a QR code on them. So in front of like the stones in the cemetery.
Mhm.
Then we can stick those in the ground, and as people walk up to the stone, it's not like it's stuck on the stone.
Yeah.
They can scan the QR code and
Yeah.
hear the story or see the story. And so it would start off simple because, like Gabe said, there might be 9 buildings associated with the Revolutionary War. The only way to do this in a very specific manner where it doesn't get overblown is to focus on one piece of it first. Because, you know, in the discussions, which I know you've sat in through them, it's like stories and people talking about stories and all the background history, and it may not be. You might just go up to a plaque and it would just have a simple script that's on the plaque. But some places you might want further story, or maybe somebody wants to record the history of their structure and that type of thing. So the QR code really gives that expandable nature for the future. So it takes it beyond static history and really creates that living history environment.
Well, and the QR code, I think this, I think the QR code program for tours is really good. I
Mhm.
mean, I observe people taking our maps and have them out all the time in front of all the buildings. And the other thing that the QR code would do that's a positive is it would alleviate trying to put too much on these plaques.
Correct, 100%.
Because, the rest of the story could be on the QR code.
Yeah, and I would, oh, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, we can keep the plaques pretty minimal as they are now, as the older ones are now.
Right, so Gabe has that picture in your packet here, and I guess
Yeah.
up there on the screen as well for those who might be watching at home. But yes, so you could basically say the address, the name of the house, if it has a specific name, when it was built, and then you could have a very limited historical content space. And that kind of gets away. I know that when I first got here, there were some stories about people coming and wanting sort of like wildly interesting things on their
Yes.
signage, just about themselves in a modern day time period. So, and that again is, you know, that gets back to the whole idea of what type of content can you actually control on a sign. So we would say that you're not coming and asking the board for the content. The content would have been created ahead of time, and then if you chose to put one on your house, then you're choosing the content that was already pre-approved. If you say, well, I don't like that content, then you don't have to buy the sign. But, you know, that's where the Historical Society, working with staff, could at least draft the content, bring it to you all for approval. And so it takes us out of that, are you approving a sign? No, this is a plaque program that we have in town. So.
Okay.
And again, that historical content, that's something that's known fact, where we know you might find something later on down the road. So let's just say for a house that's been around for 150 years, on that QR code, that's the space to maybe add more history that's found throughout time.
Yeah, the
And the stuff
QR
that's
code.
only in the historical content space is the known facts that
Right.
you'll never have to worry about changing.
Well, I see two comments that want to happen. Gail.
You addressed this. Byron Geisler, 228 East Main. I was just gonna say that, you know, I noticed the original plaques when I first came to town in 1988. That really made an impression on me. You know, the content, but also, you know, just the fact that there was an old homeowners association that cared enough to put those plaques up. I mean, that was part of the history of the town. And I really feel like the existing plaques, even though some of them, you know, need some refurbishing, that they are part of the historic fabric of the town, you know, as much as windows and other features. I think this board should be behind preserving those as opposed to, you know, encouraging them to be removed and replaced with new ones. I'm not sure that's what's being proposed, but if that's part of the idea, I would be against that. I think those, you know, show that they're part of the history of the town in their own right, and show the history of people before we came along caring about preserving history and forming an association and putting these plaques up. And so they serve a purpose in their own right. Not to say that I think it's great to add plaques, and certainly there's lots of buildings that don't have plaques, and even some that do, incorporating the QR code in some way to incorporate them with this idea of a walking tour would be a good idea. But I definitely think we need to preserve the existing plaques. I mean, my plaque's a new plaque. I put it up to try to imitate the old plaques because I like them, but I think the old plaques are really important to keep.
Thank you. That we have had some new, we've had some of the plaques, lately, like with the one we saw a minute ago. The old one removed and replaced by one fabricated recently. And I know that's sort of a growing trend.
Is that done by the owner?
Uh-huh, done by the owner, just done by the owner.
And you could, I mean, you could either preserve them, I mean, you know, because it's just fully up for discussion. You could either preserve them, or, you know, another idea was to preserve them in the fashion that if somebody wanted to remove them and they didn't want their plaque anymore, that we would actually collect them
Mhm.
and keep them at like the visitor center. That we're not expecting somebody to trash their sign, that we still wanted to have a way in which we would preserve them.
Yeah, I
But
don't
give
know,
people
I
the
don't know what's
opportunity,
happened to
but-
the old ones that
Yeah.
were changed out.
Right.
So Hank, you want to say
Hank
something?
McCarthy, 315 Valley Street. I'm equally very passionate about this as well. But I don't know if you've ever been to Beaufort, North Carolina,
I have.
or ever go there. Take a look at their Preservation Society's page, because to me, they've got their plaques are beautiful, they're simple, and they're, you know, and
Oh.
there's a little login at the Historic Society, the board, and you click and you put in a little application, and then they issue the sign with the payment. But it's really well done, and it really ties the town together in the historic district, which I agree. So like, if you base it like this, the black and white, which is super cool and akin to Abington's history for any future folks, but it also kind of bonds everybody. You just, in Beaufort, Charleston too, in the old district, but you really feel that like was once here, and I think that's really nice as you walk down.
Oh, I do too.
But yeah, Beaufort's, I mean, simple, but they're definitely.
Okay, well, thank you for that, so
It sounds like we're creating a subcommittee. I felt like there's two members in the
Yeah.
audience, and whoever else
Yeah.
wants to join them.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that's what we really have to do. I mean, nothing's gonna be decided tonight. You're really gonna have to, you know, send out an invitation, set it up for who would be interested in, coming to that, and then basically you all would be presenting back to the, historic board to see what you were interested in.
Well, and we might consider discouraging just homeowners or property owners just taking them off.
Right, I mean, that
and-
might
and
be part
having
of,
them redone.
part of what you asked for,
I
so.
would say you'd have to get a certificate of appropriateness to do that. I mean,
Right.
it's part of the structure to change, just like anything else, so.
I mean, because I know, well, we all know, you know, probably 3, anyway.
And yeah, and so then maybe, you know, as part of that, and again, I don't wanna get into the weeds tonight, but yes, maybe they could add the QR code in a way to the, next to the sign or something if they wanted more
Or, you know,
history.
make it, repair this, I mean, mine is a good example that we're looking at right here. But I would be hesitant, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't take it off of the building. I mean, I feel like I agree with Byron, really, it's sort of a part of, it's been there for so long, it becomes a feature.
I love the older ones,
Yes.
like yours, I think they're beautiful.
Well, this is good, let's be at the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah, I know,
I
I
think a
think,
subcommittee is in order,
yeah,
yes.
let's, we'll send out an invitation and see if somebody would like to be on a subcommittee. Okay, okay. I was gonna say, I think we've already created it. And then, yeah, and then they'll present back to you all their decisions out
Okay.
of their subcommittee, and then you
Yeah.
all can make a final decision.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I would like to see included in the information that's behind the QR code is some information about the architectural style,
Mhm.
which is a big gap in the, what's her name, King book.
Nancy King.
And that's a great, I mean, that's a great thing with the QR code is the amount of information could, I mean, it could include anything you all would want. So, you know, some of these stories that Gabe tells in the behind the scenes are interesting, stories and tidbits about the families too. So really, you know, it really does become what does the collective group want to see. So yes, there's 2 parts. There's, you know, the idea of a simple, easy sign that people can walk and scan, and then on the QR code, there'll be other decisions for
Yeah.
what information is actually on the
That's
webpage,
nice.
so.
Okay, that's nice, okay, thank you. All righty?
So these were just different designs I had, very simple.
Well, and yeah, we don't.
All those.
Yeah.
There's the ground one. And that's all for there. If that's it for that. Should we move?
We can move on
I
to,
don't think you only have one waiver, right?
That and just update on Preservation Day, if we want to move that. So we've, finalized some stuff out, pretty much the schedule's all in place, and we've got confirmation from almost all our speakers and everything throughout, just kind of following up, and so far I haven't heard a no from anybody, but, Preservation Day will be on, October 25th, that's a Friday. We'll have a welcome at the Martha from Betsy, if you would be so kind as to do that like you did last year. Then we're gonna have at 10 a.m. Mike Pulis talk about preservation, repair, maintenance of brick structures. 11 a.m., that will be here in the council chambers. We have Luke Ramsey from Ramsey Restoration. They're in Charlottesville to talk about restoration of historic wood buildings and their architectural features. And then from 12:30 to 1:30, we're gonna have lunch at the muster grounds. So people would have to RSVP. We would get a bus like we did last year, and they would go over and we'd have lunch at the muster grounds, another one of our historic sites.
that's nice.
And talk about VA 250 and some stuff that the town's
Mhm.
doing for that. 2 p.m., Daniel Shu, so I had preservation from a realtor's perspective, and that'll be here as well.
That's a nice idea, from a realtor's perspective.
3 p.m., we're looking hopefully to have JMT. They're the ones that we contracted with to do our preservation plan for the cemetery at Sinking Spring, so hopefully they will come and not virtually present, given the distance, but they'll present on our new plan for the cemetery and its preservation. Hopefully it lasts for another 250 years and plus. 4 p.m., again here, I've heard there's been a lot of chatter at times when, what's going on at the supposed African-American section of the Sinking Spring Cemetery. Noah, who is an ETSU student, has been doing ground penetrating radar, magnetometry, and various drone data collecting to gather more information on that section of the cemetery. So he will be presenting his preliminary findings so far of what he has. So that's a very interesting thing. And we've seen a few models. I don't think you guys have seen them, but the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee has seen it, and a few other people. I think we presented at town council one time just to get everybody caught up to speed. So some really cool findings, so I really suggest coming to see that. 5 p.m. we're hoping to have a historic home tour. And then 6 p.m., Colleen Houston, who I was on a webinar, and she was one of the presenters, so she does murals, both on historic and non-historic buildings. So maybe to talk about murals and the application of them on historic buildings. So whether it be the actual signage on a building, so the hardware building where Bonfire is used to have hardware painted on the brick. Or if somebody wanted to put a new mural on a building, how do you go about that? So that she's gonna be talking about that. Other than that, that's all of our presentations and things we'll be having, so.
Where was what's the venue for the opening?
The Martha.
Well,
So-
like it was last year.
Yeah. So it'll be the Martha from 9:30 is when the welcome is, but obviously a little sooner than 9:30 people would come. And then that to 11 would be at the Martha. 11 to 12 would be here in the council chambers with Luke Ramsey. And then they would go out to lunch on the bus to the muster grounds. And then from 2 to 5, would be here, and then from 5 to 6 would be at the historic home, and then 6 to 7 would be Colleen again at the Martha to finish out tonight. So,
So
Ver-
just like we've done with all the other years.
But nothing at Field's Penthouse in that little crowded room
No,
upstairs.
they've actually not moved, so they've moved their staff have all moved upstairs now.
mhm.
So there really isn't space anymore in the Fields Pen at all.
I mean,
That was only the first year that we did that.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was kind of to show off that building, so we didn't do that last year, so, yeah, I mean, and again, I think like the whole day, some people attend every session, some people just attend the ones that interest them, and
Mhm.
sort of have that fun morning breakfasty kind of style, and then in the evening have the heavy hors d'oeuvres and the cash bar again. Because I think that just makes it a little more festive and
Very
fun.
nice.
Yep.
So that murals woman is the one that would watch the seminar. She's Cincinnati.
That's the one that was the one that we watched the seminar on, so we got her information, we thought it was really
That's
cool.
interesting.
So.
She just seemed really dynamic, like, for all of you who watched it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a dynamic presentation just about
Mhm.
murals in general. And there's been a lot of conversations about murals. So I think that'll be a good, interesting piece to bring. Each year becomes a little more interesting to figure out what topic should we have as a special speaker. But she was great, so.
So we've got a good mix of, because David Hoggard was such a hit with restoring the old historic windows. We
Yes.
figure let's get some more trades in here, so
I
to
think
help
so.
with people.
I think that detailed for a trade, for a
Yeah.
specific thing to do that needs to be done
Yeah.
is very helpful.
And it'll also help to get tradesmen that are maybe on Charlottesville, another place to go. We've got a lot of buildings over here that need work as well, so to
Mhm.
get them moving this way. Talk about the cemetery, so we've got a good mix of kind of different topics, so like Maya said, people can come for the whole day, or they can only come to what they're interested in. And we can go from there, and we'll be sending out letters to all the property owners in the OH, so I guess prepare to receive a letter from us, just inviting you to the event, and we're gonna be inviting fellow CLG localities, surrounding localities that aren't a certified local government, and kind of everybody that we can think of.
That's good.
So we have, attendance keeps going up, so
That's very
we've had
good.
two very successful, and we're hoping to keep that
Yeah,
going.
very nice, very nice. Thank you very much for doing this. I'm happy that we're doing that. Okay. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn? Are we through?
Hmm?
Okay.
So move.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
They're probably trying to decide whether or not it's still raining.